This is the Everyday AI Show, the everyday podcast where we simplify AI and bring its power to your fingertips. Listen daily for practical advice to boost your career, business, and everyday life.
Does Chat GPT finally have a worthy competitor in Google Bard after some fantastic updates to Google's new large language model? I don't know. We're going to explore that today live on Everyday AI. I'm your host, Jordan Wilson, and we're going to be breaking down everything that's happening in the AI world like we do every weekday. So this show is for you. This is to help everyday people like you and me keep up with what's going on in the world of AI and how we can actually use it. As a reminder, if you're joining us live, drop a comment. Let's learn together. If you're catching us on the podcast, make sure, if you want, to join us every day live, 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Before we jump into the news, I have to mention, go to our website at youreverydayai.com. We're giving away 6 months of premium Chat GPT, but with 6 lessons as well. So yeah, it's great to not have to pay for the $20 a month for the more powerful version of Chat GPT, but it's even better if someone can teach you how to use it with 6 private lessons. So with that, let's get after it. Let's talk about what's going on in the world of AI news. So we'll start at the top. Some exciting news from Google. Right? We're talking Google today. So let's start with something else. So Google announced Matcha, Matcha, not sure if it's supposed to be like the drink, but it's making sense of charts. So this is their new AI model that they'll be releasing soon called Matcha. And it's here to help us better understand charts, doing mathematical reason. So pretty interesting. You know, Google's come out with a lot of updates in the last literally week or less. So we're going to be diving into the new Bard updates today. They have their Matcha. They also announced Notebook LM, which we talked about in the newsletter and on the show last week. So very interesting. Next piece of news, let's talk about the Nielsen Norman Group. They just released a new study that shows that AI tools like Chat GPT are boosting worker performance by up to 66%. And that goes across multiple studies. So, you know, obviously AI and GPT can be used for a variety of different jobs, different, workplaces can use AI. That's what this show is actually all about. So I was actually interested that their study's only showing 66% because I'd say if you actually know how to use tools like ChatGPT and other AI tools, it is much higher productivity boost than that. Third but not least, the UN is warning against brain chips. Yeah, that's right. People are taking brain chips seriously. You know, it's always been a thing, but with AI now, especially, they're becoming more and more appealing to some people. But the UN is actually putting out an explicit warning to its residents, saying, do not use these potentially harmful advances in neurotechnology. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Are you going to get a brain chip? I'm not. So again, thank you for joining us. Val joining us. Good morning. Nancy, good morning. So Nancy says, I agree with worker performance increasing. True for her. All right. Shout out Ozinga team. Dr. Roz saying good morning. All right. Great to have all of you. So let's talk about that thing that we talked about, this Google Bard. So if you don't know anything about Google Bard, that's okay. I think we've all heard or have used Chat GPT. Google Bard it's different, but in a lot of the same ways, it's very similar if you haven't used it. So let's dive in a little bit and talk about Google Bard. So here's why I think it's worth paying attention to. So Google Bard just released some updates last week, and I think the timing was especially timely because here's a couple of things that happened about the same time. ChatGPT released their code interpreter, which I think is going to be monumental for a lot of companies to finally start using it. But with Code Interpreter, it does what it kind of the name suggests, but you can upload, spreadsheets natively inside the platform, have it run data visualization. It's pretty amazing. So that was a big development last week for large language models, as well as Anthropic released Cloud. So that's kind of I'd say the big new contender in this kind of Chat GPT competitor space, or the large language model space, is Anthropic's Cloud. So Cloud 2 was just released publicly, and you can try that out. We'll put the link in the newsletter as well. We talked about it last week. But couple things that made Cloud interesting were it has a larger context window. So, something that we talk about a lot with, ChatGPT or other large language models is when they start to hallucinate or make stuff up or start to lose their memory. So Cloud 2 has about 75,000 words, which is far more than anyone else. I haven't been super impressed with Cloud 2 yet. But Cloud 2 is actually funded. One of their major funders is Google, and it was actually started by former OpenAI employees. So it is kind of unique in that regard that it has a tie-in to OpenAI, Chat GPT, as well as Google. So I do think Cloud is going to be a competitor that we're going to be talking about for a while. And now Google Bard. So Chat GPT released Code Interpreter last week. Anthropic released Cloud 2, made it live. And now we have Google Bard. So the timing, I think, is unique. I don't think that was an accident, but regardless, let's talk a little bit and try to show some examples here too live of Google Bard. And I think why now we can at least pay attention to it. All right. Yes, Val, Val, thank you for the comment. So Val says Anthropic only available in the US. I believe it's available in the UK as well, but thank you, Val, for that reminder. It's not available everywhere for Anthropic. And I think Google Bard, there's still some countries it's not available, but it's available almost worldwide. All right. So let's talk a little bit about why Google Bard is, I think, a little better now. So I'm going to share my screen. If you're listening on the podcast, you're probably not going to miss too much. I'm going to do my best to try to describe kind of what's going on here. So, all right, let's take a look. So the biggest update for Google Bard that I think is going to be helpful is now on the left-hand side, you can save your chats and you can rename them. Why does this matter? Well, for anyone that's taken our, Prime, Prompt, and Polish course, the PPP course, everything on the left-hand side, these chats, you should be going back to them and kind of training them up for a very specific task. That's one of the biggest mistakes that we see people using with large language models, with these AI chats, is you just go in there haphazardly and just create a new one, or just go to an old one that's unrelated. So let's say you're trying to analyze some data, but you also had a chat that you were using for creative writing. You're not going to get good outputs if you're using the same chat for the same thing, or if you're not able to train a chat up and save it. So up until last week, Google Bard, you could not save your chats. When you logged out, they were gone. So which was a big reason why people would ask me, hey, should I use Google Bard? I would say, absolutely not, because it's only helpful for a very short amount of time. So that's the number one biggest update, and I'm super excited to see that. So number two, and we're going to try some things live here. We'll see how it goes. The second biggest thing is there is a OCR is built in. So that's optical character recognition. Nothing groundbreaking about that, but imagine, uploading an old PDF that you have. Maybe you don't have it in Word, but you can upload it and it can read that. So that's great. So image recognition as well. So two separate things. You can upload a file now in the actual interface, which also is new. So let's just do an example here. I'm going to upload a file. And I just kind of saved an image here. And I'm going to say, what is this image? So before I even tell you I'm going to say, what is this image showing? I'm actually going to see. I haven't tried this yet, at least not with this image. So I'm going to see if Google Bard knows what this image is. But I think this is another fascinating use case. So it got it right. So this is the I don't even know how to pronounce this, but it's a waterfall in Iceland. I actually, my wife and I went there a couple years ago. So I'm like, all right, this is a cool example. I know what it is. Let's see if Google Bard knows, and Google Bard knows. So that's a pretty fascinating use case, and also to have that built in as well is pretty helpful. And I think for things like research, being able to learn new topics, new subjects, I think having that built in image recognition is a very powerful tool, because that's not even built in into Chat GPT. So even some of these things that we talk about, I think it's important to separate with Chat GPT the free version and the premium version, right? Because the free version is extremely limited. And so many of these things that we're going to be showing you today on Google Bard, you can't do in the free version of Chat GPT, but with plugins, the paid version, you can do a lot of these things. All right, couple questions. I always want to try to get these in. Rastafa asking, what's kind of the order? ChatGPT, Bard, Cloud 2. Yeah. So there's also Bing Chat, which is, fairly similar to GPT-4 without some of the functionality. So yeah, at least for me right now, Rastafa, I'd say ChatGPT is still like 1A, 1B, 1C. And then there's a huge gap for everything else. And then I'd say probably would be Bard. Bing would be that second tier, and then Cloud would be kind of the third tier. Audrey saying she just tested it 5 minutes ago. Not great for copy output compared to GPT. Yeah, we're going to go over that here in a second as well. And then obviously, prices. Prices are important to keep in mind too, right? So obviously, we're giving away 6 months of GPT Plus and training. So make sure to go to the website for that. But yeah, Bard is free. At least right now, Cloud is free as well. All right, so let's jump back into some new features. Let's jump back to some new features in Bard, because I think that there's some good things to talk about here. So let's go ahead and open a new chat. All right, and let's say write some marketing email copy for a new Nike shoe. Not good at typing live, guys. That is the lightest running shoe ever. So let's go ahead and type that in, because I want to show you a couple different new features inside Google Bard. So yeah, like Audrey mentioned, the copy is not that great. Obviously, in this example, I'm not training it up. I'm not giving it directions. I'm not saying, act as an expert copywriter. Here's some examples. We're just doing some quick one shots, just to look at some new features. So a new feature here, which is great, which a lot of people don't even use in ChatGPT, is the ability to share, right? It sounds so small, but it is so important, because if you are training these chats, putting in a lot of information, kind of fine tuning them to get the right results, you can share these with your team now. It's another thing you can do in Chat GPT as well, that a lot of people don't know about. But I think that's a small thing that Google included, a new update in Bard that is pretty good. Two other kind of things to note here down at the bottom. One is you can kind of say good response, bad response. That's not new, but this piece is new. You can quickly change the tone, which, if I'm being honest, y'all, like, I love Chat GPT, but their UI UX leaves a lot to be desired. It's not good. Adding and removing plugins, interacting with the user interface, not that clean. Google Bard is fantastic. It's a clean interface that makes sense. It's Google, right? So you would expect that, but some great features down here that you can just say, hey, I want this more professional, more casual, simpler, longer, shorter. That's great. And just being able to, I do this a lot while I'm trying to train up different chats in ChatGPT, but I'm doing it with text commands. So it takes a little longer. Sometimes I'll do a little shortcut and use my voice, but I can say, let's make this shorter. Again, takes 2 or 3 seconds, and then it's going to spit out shorter copy there. So it's great. All right. If you have, again, reminder, if you're joining us live, if you have questions about these new features that we're going over for Bard, please drop them in the comments. And again, as a reminder, if you're listening later on the podcast, we do this every morning live, 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right, so let's look at one more thing. And I don't know how this is going to work out. So I just scribbled. I scribbled a little mock-up on my desk, and I took a picture of it. And we're going to see if this works. Because actually, when they first debuted Chat GPT, so much of the future of large language models and AI chats is in kind of multi-model. So, being able to work with images and code and video and audio, speech, right? Everything in one place. So Bard actually has a great piece in that. So before I get into this little mock-up, I did want to show one more thing in Bard here, which I think is really cool. So you probably won't be able to hear this. Maybe you will, but there is a new button over here that says listen, right? So that's great, obviously, for accessibility reasons, right? So if you have a visual impairment and you can't really read very well, you can now use, right, AI, because there is also an option down here to use microphone. So if you can see and click the microphone and see and click the listen, I think from an accessibility standpoint, that really opens up the door for a lot more people to get more out of Bard. So great on Google to include those accessibility features, but also let's take a listen.
Are you still running in circles trying to figure out how to actually grow your business with AI? Maybe your company has been tinkering with large language models for a year or more, but can't really get traction to find ROI on Gen AI. Hey, this is Jordan Wilson, host of this very podcast. Companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and NVIDIA have partnered with us because they trust our expertise in educating the masses around generative AI to get ahead. And some of the most innovative companies in the country hire us to help with their AI strategy and to train hundreds of their employees on how to use Gen AI. So whether you're looking for Chat GPT training for thousands or just need help building your front-end AI strategy, you can partner with us too, just like some of the biggest companies in the world do. Go to youreverydayai.com/partner to get in contact with our team, or you can just click on the partner section of our website. We'll help you stop running in those AI circles and help get your team ahead and build a straight path to ROI on Gen AI.
Sure, here's a shorter version of the marketing email copy. Subject: introducing the Nike Air Zoom Alphafly Next Percent 2. The lightest running shoe ever. Body: hey, name: introducing the Nike.
All right, so we won't listen to the whole thing, but not bad. And it's not even a super robotic voice either. And obviously, we've shared about this on the show and in the newsletter. Google actually has some extremely high quality text to speech features coming out. So I assume that they'll be rolling this out. Not that anyone's from Google's listening to this, but if you are, please include some 1.5x, 2x options in the sound. I would use that so much more. But I like to listen to things at a little faster rate. All right. So Rastafat, thank you. Valuable information. Everyone should comment here saying everyone should promote the PPP. All right. Agree. You should be using it. So yeah, if you want access, just drop PPP as always. And I'll send that to you. So let's go over the last thing here, which again, so going back, I mocked up a little something on my desk. It's a terrible image, if I'm being honest. I just, wrote, let's see if we can actually just bring up just how bad this little image is here that I scribbled on my desktop. So here we go. Let's take a look. All right. So here it is. Let me try and describe this. I guess this is a website mock-up. So I put my AI site at the top, I put AI News 1, AI News 2. And then I put a little thing at the bottom that says email and join list. So I don't even think this looks like a website, but that's what we're going for here. So I think when a lot of people were first introducing this AI and the GPT technology, this is one thing that they were doing. I haven't done it yet, so let's see if it works. All right, so we're going to go into Google Bard, and we're going to say, this is a mock-up for my website. Could you please help me write the code? And I'm going to say, and include the email opt-in section. All right, so I don't know. There we go. We have it right there. I don't know if it's going to work, so let's see. All right. So why would you need this? Well, I think it's pretty cool that you can just build websites inside Google Bard. That's another thing we haven't talked about on the show very much, but a lot of these large language models, I think Google Bard is maybe a little better at coding than others. You know, Chat GPT, you can do this as well. But the ability to spit out code is pretty fantastic, even from a photo, right? So this is wild. Let's see if this works. All right, so it says, sure, I can help you write the code and include an email opt-in section for your website. Here is the code. Well, I don't know if this works. So I'm not a coder, but it spit out some HTML, and it's very, very short. It's about 7 lines of code. So I don't know if this is going to work, but let's give a try. So over here, I also have what's called Replit. More on this later, but this is just an easy way where I can put in code, and on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side, it's going to generate it. So I don't know if this is going to work. We're doing this live. All right. So it actually kind of did it, which is impressive, right? I didn't really do anything in my drawing that gave it much formatting or anything, but not only did it kind of make this little website that I asked it to, but it also added some new things. So it says, stay up to date on the latest news and AI insights. It says, enter your email, subscribe. So again, a very basic HTML website. It did that though, right here live. I put in a very ugly drawing on my desk, asked it to generate some code. It gave me some HTML code. I copy and pasted it, and it works, right? We'd obviously, if we use this, we'd make it look a little better. We would, make sure it was styled, and we had some CSS and pretty colors and all that. But wow, so not that bad, if I'm being honest, right? For trying this live, can't complain. So let's quickly recap what's new in Google Bard. We've been going at this for 20 minutes, so let's quickly talk about what's new. So I'd say the biggest thing is the ability to save chats. So having all those chats on the left-hand side, which again, if you're a ChatGPT user, you might be scratching your head, but that did not exist in Google Bard until last week. Also, what's important to know is Google Bard runs on its own model, on its own large language model called PaLM 2. So, ChatGPT, Bing Chat, so many others, Jasper, Copy AI, they all run on GPT technology, right? So that's important to call out, is that Google runs on its own model called PaLM 2. All right, so new update. You have your chats on the left-hand side. The ability now to upload, just right now, image files right in the interface with no extra functionality, which is great. Another thing that we talked about is the ability to listen to the output. So Google includes, anytime it spits out anything to you, it includes the ability to listen to it with a text-to-speech kind of button right there, which is great. Also built in the ability to use the microphone. And then a couple of the other new features is the ability to one-click modify a response. So let's see. I'm even curious if in this code thing, if I say longer, if it'll make the code longer. Curious, but so the other options are being able to write it more casually, more professionally, simpler, longer, shorter. And then By the way, it did make the HTML a little longer. And then last but not least, the ability to share. All right. So let's recap. Should you use Google Bard now? Now that they've released all of these new updates? Maybe, right? So here's the thing. If you're not using Chat GPT on an everyday basis like me, you might be able to go in and get some real value out of Google Bard, with those things built in. Does it begin to come close to the capabilities and the power of Chat GPT if you have all the right plugins enabled? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. At least not right now. However, from a UI UX perspective, what Google Bard is doing, I think they're heading in the right direction. They're adding new functionality that requires, in Chat GPT, multiple plugins. So to even do that, it requires a paid account. So all of these things available for free in Bard. If nothing else, I think this makes it easy for the everyday person, a little easier actually, to start using a large language model, to start using an AI chat. Because if I'm being honest, although ChatGPT is extremely powerful, to get the most out of it, there is a decent learning curve. But with Bard's new updates, I think there's hardly any learning curve, if I'm being honest. I think it's actually much more beginner friendly. And these new updates that they just released last week, I think are going to give ChatGPT a run for its money. All right. That's it. We went over some of the highlights of what's new in Google Bard. So as a reminder, this isn't it. We're going to continue to do this every single weekday. So please go to youreverydayai.com. Sign up for our free newsletter, our free daily newsletter. Like I said, we're giving away 6 free months of Chat GPT Plus. So like I talked about, Bard can't touch Chat GPT in terms of functionality and power, at least not right now. However, you do need plugins and you do need a little bit of know-how. So we are giving away 6 free months of Chat GPT Plus and 6 lessons so you can actually use it. So make sure to sign up for our giveaway, read the daily newsletter, and I hope that you'll join us tomorrow and every day on Everyday AI. Thank you all.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Everyday AI. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps keep us going. For a little more AI magic, visit youreverydayai.com and sign up to our daily newsletter so you don't get left behind. Go break some barriers, and we'll see you next time.